A lot of the conversations I'm having are focusing on what we've gained and what we've lost. COVID-19 has been the biggest global event since World War II, a challenge of my lifetime, and I'm sure for you too. It is changing our behaviours. It's certainly impacting our beliefs, and it is forcing society to think about how it wants to work and how it wants to be. Most of us know that things will not go back to what we remember as normal. And through this winter, we're likely to have more lockdowns, more localised rules at levels 1, 2 and 3, more confusion and more uncertainty. But let's hold the important things. Right now our kids are back at school, our organisations where they can are operating, and we must protect that. We must do everything in our power. Things have changed. COVID-19 has forever changed the experience of being a parent, a customer, an employee, a patient, a leader. But here's the truth. Human beings need clarity and choice to be at their best. But of course we should expect that right now clarity and choice is going to remain in somewhat short supply. And if you're leading people, what does that mean for you? An explicit fear of COVID-19 is that other people and the places that they visit carry invisible threats. These threats make risk much less tolerable, and the familiar, whilst more valuable, strangely uncertain. And this erosion of confidence really makes trust way more important, and it increases our need to be connected, to search out that clarity, and ultimately to hold a belief that we will move past COVID and into a post-COVID era. So as a leader, taking no action is not an option. People tend to fill their voids with their own stories, their own narratives. So pay attention to what your people are thinking, as getting your message wrong will leave a legacy and potentially damage your culture and the trust levels within your teams and organisations for years to come. We already have big lessons to learn from the initial COVID communications from central government and of course the behaviours of certain officials. I'm not sure about you, but there's an important question on lots of people's lips, and it's this. How do I safely emerge and feel confident about life in the post-COVID ways of working? What's it going to be like? And of course today, we could still be upwards of 6 to 12 months away, even 18 months. But there is hope. There is hope. Despite all the challenges we've faced from March onwards, we've found some amazing and surprising gains and benefits. People have found new ways of doing things, and we've cracked change that was stuck for years. The power of a common enemy, the need to progress and grow, have driven us forward at amazing rates. So as we emerge, and as leaders you think about your teams, what do you need to do for teams? How do you reset your organisation's story? How do you continue to drive the clarity and increase confidence that you're going to need to maximise your success? Well, you begin by telling the story of gain and understanding the story of gain. As an individual, team, build on from the experiences that you've had. Explain the steps and the processes you're going to take and how your team, your organisation wholly will be included in the design. Help your people connect to what's important to them and help them understand and bring clarity to how your mission, ambitions and culture will bring things to them that are important for them. Things are different now. And when you think about communications and virtual working, we've lost our traditional modes, the water cooler, the kitchen conversations, walking down the corridor and bumping into somebody. We must work hard to replace them, to create and share powerful narrative. You know, like Churchill, we'll fight them on the beach. Sometimes when I talk about narrative, people look and go, how do you do that? So in this next section, I wanted to talk to you about how we create narrative for behaviour change. And I think the safest place to start is with some of those childhood stories and their metaphors, like the Lion King, Circle of Life, or Bambi and our ability to cope with loss and devastation, or the Three Pigs, how hard work is important for life. They explore our thoughts and feelings, and the metaphors that they use are our brain's way of helping us make sense of the world. So your narrative is a vital part of moving forward, a vital part of creating next excellence. For stories to truly resonate, we believe you need 4 components. You need a challenge, a plot, a set of choices, and clarity of what will be won and lost when people have taken the time and effort to commit to the choices made. So setting about designing new ways of work doesn't have to be as difficult as you think. We like to think of it as next excellence. Once you've got your narrative, how do you build a plan? Well, we've created a 4-pillar framework to guide you through this. First, hold the gain. Understand what was learned, what was gained, and what's been lost. Things like we've learned to trust and measure performance differently. We're measuring productivity over busyness. Collaboration and teamwork has risen up. We've crossed structural, team and business boundaries. We've created senses of achievement virtually, in many instances working better than we were before. So how do you start to shape that? Well, that's framework 2. Rethinking, I call it Imagineering. Engaging your teams in imagining the future. Get them together to co-design it. A note of guidance, capture what's desirable, then what's feasible, and then what's viable. But you must make sure that it's desirable from your customer's perspective and then your team's. So now you have a narrative, you've understood the gain, and you're pulling together a design. The third pillar is safe restart. By this point, you've got the best in mind, and you want to make this business as usual. Real confidence flowing through how people are going to work together. And remember, we value loss twice as much as gain. So you must pay very careful attention to your team's psychological safety. They must feel really safe. It is the foundation of high performance. Wrapping around in the 4th pillar, which should come all the way through in all you do, is your resilience bubble. Think of your resilience as that protective bubble, wrapping around your teams, enabling your teams to be confident, trusted and open, re-emphasising that psychological safety again. Communicate regularly and be consistent. Reassure, drive clarity and support decision making. How do you do this? And how best do you tell your story to be at its most powerful? Social movements are the way to do this. Great narrative, amazing storytelling and social movement creation. We have loads: Christmas Day, Eid, FA Cup, Black Lives Matter, all really, really important and in context for certain groups of our population. There are 3 rules of engagement for social movements. The first, the law of the few. Social movements require the intervention of a number of influential types of people: connectors, maverns and salespeople. Engaging and empowering your connectors, the networkers, to join up and pull people in. Help your maverns to tell and reassure people that they're doing the right thing. Your maverns are the technical experts, very trusted for knowing what is right, what is wrong. And story up your salespeople. They're the influencers. They really help bring confidence that this is the way to go. Help them bring clarity of purpose, passion, and to release people's energy. Number 2, the stickiness factor. A crucial factor in the adoption of any new design for work. Stickiness refers to a unique quality that compels the excellence in people, the best, and the new behaviours that you want to stick. It sits in the minds, first of all, of individuals, then groups, and then wider organisations and communities, and will influence people's future choices and behaviours. Don't forget that personal and corporate values and ethos play a key role in sticky. And the third rule of engagement, the power of context. Groups of less than 150 people usually display a level of intimacy, interdependency and efficiency. With larger groups, we often begin to lose these features. So it's the power of networks. Think about how you have a hub and spoke and use those to create the whole ecosystem. How will you know when it's working? There are 3 things we've spotted. Fundamental change happens quickly. You'll notice the beliefs and energies of people start to align as the movement accelerates. Second, pay attention to finding the acts and resources that influence or impact. Make sure you support them. Take down the barriers, open up and create the clear ways. Third, understand the status quo. As humans, we stick with the status quo, but you need to understand it and help people move away from the dislikes and move towards the likes. Break it, tell people what's happening and reassure them that it's safe to move forward. And you'll get a sense that excellence, that being at your best, is a combination of creativity, discipline and a fierce resolve. So what will you need from your leaders? You'll need leaders that are humble, hungry and people smart. And those leaders will empower teams that will function with vulnerability. There'll be clear trust because they're happy to be vulnerable together. That will develop clarity and confidence of commitment and action. and equip your organisation to tell their story with nuances. Let each tribe shape their story. Most importantly, help them make sure that they actively present a move and describe common futures. There's an underlying theme through excellence, through helping our organisations to grow and flourish, to be effective, to be high performance, and it's narrative and stories. So back to our childhood stories and Disney. Remember that metaphor is how we make sense of our world, and we all carry in our heads our own metaphors. Think about John Denver and Annie's song, and I bet you're already humming that in your head. It'll be one of those sticky tunes. There's no stronger way to engage people than in rich, meaningful metaphor, using visual, sound, feelings. It's what makes animations and multimedia so powerful. Thanks for listening to our short overview of what we've been up to over the last 6 months and our shared learning on building Next Excellence. We would love to hear your stories. And to help, we're offering to animate your story. Send it to us via this link, really simple to upload, and we'll get back to you, share a quick cup of coffee and a discussion. I'll even send you some biscuits or fruit. Once we've gathered all of the stories, we'll work on how we can best share those stories, those narratives, to inspire, to encourage, and support other organisations, communities and places to grow. This is a real opportunity for us to tell our stories, and let's get growing.